Today, we gather in the spirit of exploration and innovation, much like pioneers charting new territories. When I think about motivation, the very fire that propels us forward, I'm reminded of a simple yet powerful truth. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Life, indeed, presents us with a canvas, full of potential, yet blank in many places. Each one of us has the ability to paint our masterpiece, but what drives us to pick up the brush? What ignites that spark that transforms passion into action? As I stand before you today, I invite you to reflect on what truly motivates you. It could be the desire to create, to learn, or perhaps to change the world in ways we can only begin to imagine. I want you to embrace that vision, to let it breathe and evolve, because motivation isn't something we find outside ourselves. It's born from within, fueled by our dreams, our experiences, and our innate desire to connect with something greater than ourselves. So, let us embark on this journey together. Let's explore the principles that can guide us through the valleys of doubt and up the mountains of possibility. I believe that by the end of our time together, you won't just find motivation, you'll discover how to cultivate a relentless pursuit of your passions and dreams. Follow your passion. Most people go through life following a script that someone else wrote for them. They do what they're told, take the safe path, make practical choices, and hope that one day, somehow, they'll find happiness. They think success comes from playing by the rules, from following the same predictable formula that everyone else follows. But the people who truly change the world, the ones who build things that matter, the ones who create, innovate, and inspire, they don't follow someone else's plan. They follow their passion. Passion is the difference between existing and truly living. It's the force that drives the greatest minds, the most revolutionary ideas, the most unforgettable creations. When you follow your passion, you operate on a different level. You wake up with a sense of purpose. You put in the extra hours, not because you have to, but because you want to. You push past obstacles because the work itself fuels you. Without passion, everything feels like a grind, but with passion, the impossible starts to look possible. Most people never give themselves permission to follow what excites them. They settle. They do what's expected. They make choices based on security instead of excitement. They choose what looks good on paper rather than what makes them feel alive. And over time, they lose that spark. They convince themselves that passion is just a luxury, that it's something for dreamers, not for people living in the real world. But that thinking is backward. The people who make the biggest impact, the ones who build companies, movements, and ideas that shift the way we see the world, they don't see passion as a luxury, they see it as a necessity. Passion fuels persistence. When you're doing something you love, obstacles don't stop you, setbacks don't break you. You don't quit when things get hard because you're not in it for the easy road. You're in it because you believe in it. Look at the people who have built the most game-changing companies, the most inspiring works of art, the most influential movements. They didn't do it for a paycheck. They didn't do it because it was the smart career move. They did it because they couldn't imagine doing anything else. Following your passion doesn't mean everything will be easy. In fact, it means the opposite. It means you'll work harder than you ever thought possible. It means you'll face resistance, failure, and moments of doubt. But when you're driven by something deeper than money, deeper than external validation, you keep going. You stay up late, perfecting your craft, tweaking your ideas, solving problems that no one else has even thought about. Because when you love what you do, work doesn't feel like work, it feels like something bigger. The best products, the best ideas, the best innovations, they come from people who are obsessed with what they do. People who can't stop thinking about their work, who pour everything they have into it, who live and breathe the thing they are creating. They don't clock in and out. They don't wait for someone to tell them what to do. They take ownership. They push boundaries. They set new standards. Because for them, it's not about checking a box or meeting expectations. It's about creating something that matters. That's why passion is so powerful. It makes you unstoppable. It keeps you going when others would quit. It pushes you to be better, to think differently, to take risks that no one else is willing to take. The greatest achievements in history weren't made by people who played it safe. They were made by people who followed their passion even when it didn't make sense, even when people doubted them, even when the odds were stacked against them. The problem is, most people never even try. They think passion is risky. They think it's impractical. They listen to the voices that tell them to be realistic, to choose security over excitement, to take the job that looks good instead of the one that feels right. But what they don't realize is that playing it safe is the biggest risk of all. Because when you spend your life doing something you don't love, you never reach your full potential. You never find out what you're truly capable of. You never create something that lasts. Look at any great company, any iconic product, any movement that changed the world, and you'll find one thing at the core: passion. Apple wasn't built by someone who wanted to make a quick buck. It was built by someone who was obsessed with making technology beautiful, intuitive, and powerful. The Wright brothers didn't invent the airplane because it was a good business opportunity. They did it because they were fascinated by flight. And Walt Disney didn't create an entertainment empire because he thought it would be easy. He did it because he loved storytelling, animation, and the magic of bringing ideas to life. The world doesn't need more people who are just going through the motions. It doesn't need more people who are playing it safe, following the crowd, sticking to the script. It needs people who are willing to take risks, to challenge the status quo, to bring something new and exciting into existence. It needs people who are driven by something bigger than themselves. But passion alone isn't enough. You have to put in the work. You have to be willing to fail, to make mistakes, to learn, to grow, to keep pushing forward even when things don't go as planned. Passion gives you the fuel, but effort turns it into something real. The people who succeed aren't just the ones who love what they do. They're the ones who refuse to stop. They show up day after day and do the work. They get better, they refine their skills, they take feedback, they iterate, they push themselves beyond their limits. And because they love it, they never settle. They keep reaching for something greater. Most people are waiting for permission. They're waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, the right circumstances. But there is no right time. There is only now. The people who follow their passion, they don't wait. They start. They take the first step. They figure things out as they go. They trust that if they pour everything they have into what they love, the path will reveal itself. Passion is contagious. When you work with passion, you inspire others. You attract people who believe in the same things you do. You build teams, movements, companies that are fueled by something bigger than just profit. The best companies aren't just places where people work. They're places where people believe in something, where they feel connected to a mission, where their work is an extension of who they are. Following your passion doesn't mean you have to do something huge. It doesn't mean you have to change the world overnight. It just means you have to do what excites you, what makes you feel alive, what makes you want to wake up in the morning and create something. It means listening to that inner voice that tells you there's something more, something greater, something that you were meant to do. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know every step before you begin. You just have to start. You have to take that first step, even if it's small, even if it's uncertain, even if you're scared. Because once you start following your passion, once you commit to doing what you love, everything changes. Doors open, opportunities appear, and suddenly you're no longer just living, you're creating a life that actually means something. Failure is not the end. It's not something to be feared, avoided, or ashamed of. It's a tool. It's the raw material for success. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every world-changing innovation is built on a foundation of failure. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent, intelligence, or luck. It's the ability to embrace failure, learn from it, and keep going. Most people are terrified of failure. They see it as proof that they're not good enough, that they don't have what it takes, that they should quit while they're ahead. But the people who change the world, the ones who build things that last, they see failure differently. They see it as data, as feedback, as a necessary step in the process. They understand that failure isn't a reflection of their ability. It's a signal that they're pushing the boundaries, testing limits, exploring new ground. The truth is, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. You're staying in your comfort zone, playing it safe, avoiding the risks that lead to real breakthroughs. Failure isn't a mistake. It's proof that you're in the game. It means you're doing something that matters, something that hasn't been done before. If you look at the most successful people in history, they didn't just experience failure, they embraced it. They welcomed it, they used it as fuel. Think about Thomas Edison. He didn't just invent the light bulb. He failed at inventing the light bulb thousands of times before he got it right. Most people would have given up. Most people would have taken 100 failures as a sign to stop, to move on, to try something else. But Edison knew something most people don't. Failure is just learning. Every attempt that didn't work brought him one step closer to the one that did. The same is true for every great company, every revolutionary product, every groundbreaking idea. Apple didn't get everything right the first time. The Macintosh was a failure before it became an icon. The iPhone wasn't perfect in its first version. Every success was built on top of countless failures. The people who built these things weren't afraid to fail. They were afraid of not trying, of not pushing far enough, of not taking the risks that could lead to something great. Most people let failure define them. They fail once and decide they're not good enough. They take a rejection, a mistake, a misstep, and they make it mean something about who they are. They let it shrink them. But the people who win, the people who create, they do the opposite. They fail and keep going. They fail and get smarter. They fail and come back stronger. They don't take it personally. They don't see it as proof of their limits. They see it as part of the process, part of the journey, part of what it takes to build something meaningful. Failure is a teacher. It shows you what doesn't work. It forces you to rethink, to improve, to innovate. When you fail, you're given an opportunity to see what you missed, to refine your approach, to make something better. It sharpens you, it strengthens you, it builds resilience. And resilience is the secret ingredient of success, because no matter how talented you are, no matter how brilliant your idea is, if you can't handle failure, you won't last. Failure forces you to adapt. It forces you to pivot, to adjust, to evolve. Look at the companies that didn't embrace failure. Blockbuster, Kodak, Nokia. They refused to see failure as a chance to change, and they became irrelevant. Now look at the ones that did. Netflix, Tesla, Amazon. They failed, they adjusted, and they came back stronger. That's the difference. That's the mindset that separates those who stay ahead from those who fall behind. When you embrace failure, you stop fearing it. You stop letting it control you. You stop hesitating, doubting, playing small. You start taking bold steps. You start experimenting, innovating, taking chances that others are too afraid to take. And that's when things start to happen. That's when ideas turn into reality. That's when breakthroughs occur. The failure is what actually causes most people to fail. They're so afraid of making mistakes that they never take action. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions. And that moment never comes, so they stay stuck. They never move forward. They never take the risks that could lead to something extraordinary. But the people who embrace failure, they move fast. They take action. They try. They fail. They learn. They try again. And because they move fast, because they're not afraid of falling, they're the ones who rise. They're the ones who get better, smarter, stronger with every setback. They're the ones who figure things out while everyone else is still waiting for the perfect conditions. The secret to success isn't avoiding failure, it's using it. It's understanding that every failure is a step forward, that every mistake is a lesson, that every setback is an opportunity in disguise. It's realizing that failure isn't a sign to stop, it's a sign that you're on the right track. Because the only people who never fail are the ones who never try. And the ones who never try, they never build anything worth remembering. Success isn't an accident. It doesn't just happen because you wish for it, because you dream about it, because you hope that one day things will magically fall into place. Success is built. It's constructed brick by brick, action by action, habit by habit. The people who accomplish great things aren't more talented, more gifted, or luckier than everyone else. They just do things differently. They cultivate habits that push them forward, that make them better, that separate them from the people who spend their lives stuck in the same place. Most people underestimate the power of habits. They think that big success comes from one massive breakthrough, one genius idea, one lucky moment. But real success is the result of small actions repeated every day. It's what you do consistently that defines you. It's the choices you make, the routines you follow, the standards you set for yourself. The people who achieve extraordinary things aren't necessarily the smartest or the strongest. They're the ones who have built the right habits and stuck with them. Everything you do either moves you closer to your goals or further away from them. There's no standing still. Every decision, every action, every moment of your day is either building momentum or slowing you down. If you don't control your habits will control you. If you don't create routines that serve you, you'll fall into patterns that hold you back. And once you fall into the wrong patterns, they become incredibly hard to break. That's why cultivating positive habits isn't just important, it's essential. The best habits aren't complicated. They're simple, but they're powerful. Waking up early, reading every day, exercising, eating well, thinking deeply, focusing on what matters instead of wasting time on distractions. The people who succeed aren't the ones who work the hardest for a week or a month and then burn out. They're the ones who show up every single day, who keep improving, who keep pushing forward no matter what. They've built habits that keep them sharp, focused, and constantly growing. Discipline beats motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you wake up excited, ready to take on the world. Other days you feel sluggish, unmotivated, uninspired. If you rely on motivation, you'll never be consistent. But if you build habits, you don't need motivation. You don't have to think about whether or not you feel like doing something, you just do it. You make it automatic. You make it part of who you are. Look at the people who are at the top of their fields. Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, inventors. They don't just work when they feel inspired, they work every day. They practice, they refine, they improve, even when they don't want to. They've built routines that ensure they get better no matter what. That's the difference. That's what separates the people who dream from the people who do. Bad habits are easy to form and hard to break. They creep in slowly. You skip one workout, then another, and before you know it, you've lost your momentum. You waste an hour on distractions, then 2, then 3, and suddenly your focus is gone. The wrong habits don't just slow you down, they destroy your potential. They pull you away from your goals. They keep you stuck. If you want to be great, you have to be ruthless about eliminating habits that don't serve you. Building the right habits isn't about willpower, it's about structure. If you set up your life in a way that makes success inevitable, you won't have to rely on willpower. If your phone is full of distractions, you'll waste time. If your environment is cluttered, your mind will be cluttered. If you surround yourself with people who complain and make excuses, you'll start doing the same. But if you design your life around positive habits, if you create systems that push you forward, you'll find that success starts to happen naturally. Most people don't fail because they aren't capable. They fail because they don't have the right habits. They don't manage their time. They don't control their focus. They don't prioritize what actually matters. They let distractions take over. They let small excuses become big problems. They keep waiting for the right time instead of doing the work right now. The secret isn't working harder for a short period of time. It's working smarter for a lifetime. It's creating habits that sustain you, that push you, that make you better every day. If you do something small but powerful every single day, reading 10 pages of a book, writing one new idea, exercising for 30 minutes, those small habits will compound into massive results. The people who are the best at what they do didn't get there overnight. They got there by building habits that set them apart, by doing the things that others weren't willing to do, by making success their default instead of their goal. When you cultivate the right habits, you don't just improve, you transform. You become sharper, stronger, more focused. You develop the ability to create, to build, to innovate at a level that others can't. And once you start seeing the results, once you realize the power of small habits done consistently, you'll never go back. You'll never settle for anything less. Because when you take control of your habits, you take control of everything.